This week, I reviewed the RayStorm x RayCrisis HD collection, the recently released shoot-'em-up compilation that's on the PlayStation 4 and Switch. Normally, when I cover one of these classic game collections, I like to look at what the critics said back in the day, but I figured that there'd be no magazines that would have covered the full trilogy. Oh boy, was I wrong. There actually was a 1990s magazine that reviewed RayForce, RayStorm and RayCrisis, and it's definitely not who you'd expect. Nope, it's not Electronic Gaming Monthly, GamePro, or even Computer and Video Games. The one magazine to actually cover this full series is, believe it or not, Next Generation. That's right, the notoriously grumpy publication that is known for hating shoot-'em-ups is the one magazine to cover all the games in the RayForce Trilogy. Who could have seen that coming? So, with that in mind, I thought it might be fun to make a top 3 list using Next Generation's own words and scores. There's just one problem. All 3 of the games scored the same 3 stars out of 5, so the whole thing ends in one giant tie. With no real way for me to break this tie, let's read each review in chronological order, and then maybe you can decide which one they liked the most. Join me for this vaguely interactive episode of Next Generation Ranks Taito's RayForce Trilogy. Up first, we have Galactic Attack on the Saturn, which is a renamed version of RayForce. Though it would be foolish to recommend a game like Galactic Attack to anyone but a die-hard shooter fan, it is safe to say that this is more than just another filler game to satisfy the shooter Joneses. Aside from the fact that Galactic Attack is a super fast action game, there's a definite feeling of quality development and several elements of smart game technique that are on display with this title. The best part about Galactic Attack, however, is that it offers everything a good space shooter should without any of the problems that may have shown up on a 16-bit system trying to do the same. Essentially, the advantage to developing a relatively simple overhead shooter like Galactic Attack on a high-powered system like the Saturn is that you don't have to make any compromises with it, which means no slowdown, even when there are a load of sprites on the screen at once. So it comes down to this. If you like space shooters, you're gonna love Galactic Attack. Up next is RayStorm on the PlayStation. Working Designs has been known for buying the rights to Japanese RPGs, Americanizing them during translation, and then releasing them stateside. Over the last few years, the company's taken some chances and uncovered more than a few games. Lately, though, Working Designs has been branching out a bit, and once again, they've come up with a winner with Taito's arcade shooter RayStorm. For the casual gamer, this may not mean very much. But for the die-hard shooter lover, this is good news indeed. RayStorm's graphics is where the game really excels though. The developers at Taito have pulled out every special effect from the PlayStation graphic library, from transparency to light sourcing, and the overall effect is quite stunning. In the end, RayStorm is a great little shooter and offers a nice twitch diversion from more complex games. There's no escaping the debt this game owes to Xevious and just about every other shooter since. But if the proof of a modern shooter is in its design, then RayStorm is well proven indeed. And finally, RayCrisis on the PlayStation. Vertical shooters are about as popular with mainstream gamers as text adventures these days. Worse, the few shooters that come out today rarely do justice to the greats like R-Type and Thunder Force 5. And so it is with RayCrisis. The follow-up to Taito's RayStorm, it manages to improve on the original's amazing 3D visuals, no small feat. But the gameplay is only slightly better than RayStorm's lackluster effort. Don't get us wrong, it ain't bad. But it's just not much different than the hundreds of generic shooters that helped to kill the genre in the first place. Like any shooter, this has lots of slowdown, particularly during the boss sequences. But frankly, we're never really sure whether shooter slowdown is a bug or an actual feature, since it's a big help when the entire screen is filled with bullets and missiles. That said, this isn't a bad game. It looks great, in fact. But the gameplay gives credence to the idea that scrolling shooters are essentially a finished genre. Hey, thanks for watching me count down these classic shooters. That was a fun change of pace from all those EGM Ranks episodes. Now, here's the question I have for you. What Ray game did Next Generation like the most and the least? That's right, now that you've heard these reviews, it's time for you to rank the order. Seriously, I'm excited to see if you come up with the same list or there's a whole bunch of different ideas. Oh man, this could be a lot of fun. Let me see your list in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back on Friday with a Super Mario themed episode of the Nintendo Switch Online Review Crew. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,